We will now go back into the MacPro training environment to review the report as the state point of contact. The state point of contact has the ability to edit the report, return the report to the state editor for further work, or to submit the report to the state director for review, certification, and submission. And Beverly, I will point out the task list here just to give you some more context to what I was explaining. So we logged out as the state editor and we're logging back in as the Virginia state point of contact. Again, this is the training environment, and although we are using user IDs from Virginia, this is not a reflection of Virginia in any way. We are taken to our news page like we were previously. We will begin by reviewing the 2015 report. And first, we have to go to our tasks list on the upper toolbar, and we're going to select tasks to get started. As I mentioned previously, the state point of contact will receive a notification in their email inbox and a task in their tasks list here in MacPro. The report ID we were working with previously had an ID ending in 991. We're going to select the Review and Edit Report, Adult Quality Measure, VA 2015 AQM 991 report to get started. There were several tasks listed in that task list, and that is because this is the training environment and there's some other traffic through here just related to preparing for the training exercises. Before we get started, we first need to accept the task. The reason we are accepting this task is because there may be more than one state point of contact. The task will initially go to all appropriate users, and once the task is accepted, the task is removed from the other users' task lists. So we're going to select we already did select the accept button, and you now have the option as the state point of contact, or SPOC, to select any of the core measures that you would like to review. And for this training, let's select the checkbox next to the ABA core set measure. Next, we're going to scroll to the bottom of the page. Now, be careful here not to select the Send for Certification button before you're ready, but if you do, don't worry, the state director can return the report to you for your continued review by denying certification, and I will point out that button when we're logged in as the state director. So let's go to Selected Measure. This takes us to the ABA core measure information, and to view all of the responses without manually expanding every field, you may select the View All Responses in gray at the top right of the page. And we're doing this every time just because we don't like to click through. As the SPOC, we have the option to edit this first section, all of the sections, but we're going to edit the first section, which is the status of data reported. And we're going to change our entry from final to provisional for the status of the data reported. After reviewing the entirety of this measure, scroll to the bottom of the page. As the SPOC, every time you click into a report to review, you must make sure before you exit that you select Yes, validate this measure for the measure to be marked as complete. The core measure will not display as complete unless validation is on. So please be sure to select Yes and then Save. Once our information is saved, we're going to go back to the bottom of the page and select Go to Admin Screen. So we would continue this process for each core measure. Once your review is complete, you have the option to return the core measure set to the state editor for continued edits. If you do this, the state editor will receive a notification that the report has been returned to them for edits, and they will have a task in their task list when they sign into MacPro. We encourage you to communicate with your team. You can do so using the news page functionality, or you can do so outside of MacPro as well using email. If an SPOC returns a report to the state editor for further edits, it is a good idea to send the state editor a note letting them know what specific changes you would like within the report. Alternatively, the SPOC may send the core measure report to the state director for review and certification. And for this training, we will send the report to the state director for certification. This returns us to our task list, and we're just going to update this real quick to make sure it caught up with us. And there are no longer any tasks listed for us to complete with the 991 report. The state director will receive a notification letting he or she know that there is a report to review and certify in MacPro, and he or she will have a task listed in their task list when they enter MacPro. So I'm going to return to the PowerPoint to review the steps we just completed as the state point of contact. So we're back on the workflow page, but this time let's focus on the second row, or the state point of contact section. We see that first the SPOC received an email notification that a report is ready for review and logged into MacPro, selecting tasks on the upper toolbar, and then selected the task to review and edit the report. We accepted the task and began reviewing and editing the core measure set. As we made edits, we ensured that validation was on so that the core measure would be marked as complete. After finishing the review, we selected Send for certification. Next, the state editor reviews the report, so let's return to the training environment to complete this next phase of the workflow. So we're going to get started as the state director. We're going to log in as the Virginia State Director. Now, like when the state point of contact logged in, the state director also is taken to their news page. You can see that the Virginia State Editor receives some kudos from the Virginia State Director, and that's something you can do within this news page functionality. We also have tasks listed next to the task button on the upper toolbar, and we're going to navigate to the tasks list by selecting tasks here. We're going to select Review and Certify Report, Virginia Adult Quality Measure, for the 991 report. Now, unlike the state point of contact and the state editor, the state director does not have the ability to edit the core set measure information. If there are issues with the report, the state director has the option to deny certification. This will return the report to the state point of contact for further review and edits. However, in order to have the option to deny certification, the state director must include a comment in at least one core measure. And this is something that can be done if the state POC accidentally sends the report before they're finished reviewing, just to get it back into their queue. So first, let's review a core measure as the state director. We're going to select the Adult Body Mass Index Assessment. The state director may view the information input into MacPro by the state editor and/or the state POC by expanding each of these fields. Again, this is read-only. However, the state director has the ability to add a comment into the measure at the bottom of the page. For this training, we'll add a brief comment into the text box provided, and we're going to write looks great because we're feeling positive today. Now that we have reviewed the core set measure information and entered a comment, we will return to the admin screen by selecting the option at the top of the page titled Back to Admin Screen. Unlike other pages we have seen, this saves the comment information that you've entered. There is not a save button for you to select prior to continuing. Now that we are back on the admin screen, I'm going to take a moment to point out the information that is available here. The state director may view the report information, such as the annual report ID, report year, state extension date, if that applies. Additionally, the state director may review the audit information, including who created the report and who last updated the report, along with dates and times for these actions. The state director also can review each core measure, the delivery system information, external contractor information, and report documents. At the bottom of the page, the state director has the options to either deny certification or certify and submit the report to CMS. Again, I'm going to point out to you that the Deny Certification button is only available if a comment is included in a core set measure. The Certify and Submit button to CMS is always available regardless of comments included or not. So let's certify the report and submit to CMS. To do this, select Certify and Submit to CMS in the bottom right. A message pops up asking if we are sure we want to submit the report to CMS. Select Yes in green to proceed. This returns us to our task page, and you will notice the task is no longer listed that we are working with for the 991 report. CMS has now received a notification that your report was submitted and it's available for their review. You will also receive a notification letting you know that your report was submitted. This is the end of the state process flow for submitting an adult quality measure core set. We're going to return to the PowerPoint to finish up our review of the workflow slide, and we will return to this training environment one more time to go over some more functionality. Let's focus our attention this time on the third row, or the State Director swim lane. We logged into Mac Pro as a State Director and clicked the Tasks option on the upper toolbar, then selected the Review Uncertified Report task. We accepted the task and began reviewing the report. We added a note to one of the measures, which activated the option to return the report to the state point of contact. Instead of returning the report or denying certification, we certified and submitted the report to CMS since it was thoroughly completed. This finishes the state workflow that is shown on this page. At this point, CMS receives the report to review. If along the way they have questions about the report, they may submit a Seek More Information request. And once CMS's review of the report is complete, they will accept the report to complete the entire workflow in Mac Pro. We're going to go over what to expect if you receive a Seek More Information or SMI request, but first I'm going to pause for a couple of minutes to answer any questions. Dan, can you please open the lines for Q&A?
Absolutely. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask another question, press star 1 on your phone, then immediately record your name followed by the pound key. Press star 1 to begin.
If you'd prefer not to talk, you can also enter your question into the chat box.
Our first question comes from the line of
Beverly Court, Washington State.
Please proceed.
Thank you. This is a massive amount to manually transcribe. Is it possible to print out what the answers are before we finalize? Can one create a PDF, or can you only validate against what's online? So we really need the ability to be able to print it out so that we can do a two-person check, because there's so much manual transcription. How do we do that?
So are you wondering how to print, Beverly? Am I understanding that properly?
Yes, printing before we submit.
Okay, so we're going back into the training environment here. And if we go to the Records tab, Laurel, and then click Adult Quality Measures, and click our 991 report, there is the option to see the consolidated view. And if we click that, it's going to take a few minutes to load just because it's a lot of information. You can print this page and it's going to show all the information that you've entered for the entire report. You can see we didn't report on some of these other core measures, but this is a page that you can print from to help you have a two-person review on paper as well.
Does it include all the questions that are there, or only the questions that we completed?
It does it includes the questions that you answered. So if you entered no, for example, that you weren't reporting on a core measure, it's not going to include the options that were not there. Does that answer your question?
So there is another PDF, correct, that will list all possible questions and all possible answers? A master template?
Beverly, this is Megan. I think if you're referring to kind of just the PDF version of what we would call like kind of the CARTS Word template, yes, that's available via one of the links that was on one of the Mathematica TA slides, and you'll get these shortly after the meeting. I can also just make sure that I personally send you the link to that template if you want to view it now.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Megan.
There are no more questions in queue at this time.
Thank you, Dan. Zach, is there anything in the chat box?
No, there are no questions in the chat box.
All right. Well, we're going to keep moving forward. If anyone thinks of questions as I'm talking, you can feel free to put them in the chat box as we go. Or we can wait till the next Q&A session to answer any last pending questions. So we're going to log back in now as the Virginia State Point of Contact to review what to expect if your state receives a SMI or Seek More Information request. If this occurs, the state will receive a notification from MacPro indicating that CMS submitted an SMI request, and the state point of contact will receive a task in their task list to respond to the Seek More Information request for the specific report. First, we need to select tasks on the upper toolbar to go to the SPOC's task list. If you have anything that you need to do in MacPro, it'll likely be a task in your task list, unless you're starting something new, which would then be in the Actions button. So we're going to select the Respond to Seek More Information Request Adult Quality Measure for the Virginia 2015 AQM 989 report. This is something that we made ahead of time. Like we have done throughout the training for other tasks, the state point of contact must accept the task to begin. Tasks are sent to all individuals with the appropriate role. Once an individual accepts the task, it is removed from the other users' task lists. As a quick note, you have the option to return the task to all assignees by selecting Return to All Assignees at the top of the page. Alternatively, you may also reassign the task to another individual by selecting Reassign Task on the left side of the page. You then have the option to choose an individual from all assignees or to choose from all users and groups. As a quick note, if you begin working on the task but then decide to reassign the task to another teammate, MacPro will not save your work. For this demo, we will not reassign the task. However, this is something you can keep in mind while you are working. Additionally, the state system administrator can reassign tasks if, for example, someone is on vacation and their task needs to be worked on, but it's stuck in their queue. Now, this page shows the specifics related to the SMI or Seek More Information request. The federal fiscal year is 2015. There are CMS questions to the state listed in a table format. There are files uploaded by CMS if applicable, and there's an area for you to upload documents as well. In order to begin answering CMS's questions, select the number for the question that you would like to begin with, in this case, number 1. Enter the state's response. In this case, we're just going to include some dummy information like we've been putting in all the text boxes for this training. We will then indicate that we will not update the report as a result of the response above, and then we're going to select Save Response. Next, select question 2. Like we did previously, enter a response to the state in the text box provided. Again, this is just some example text for training purposes. However, unlike last time, indicate that we will need to edit our report by selecting Yes. Once you finish responding to the question, select Save Response. Next, if CMS had uploaded a file for us to view, it would be included in the table below. In this case, there were no files uploaded. We also have the opportunity to upload a document to the SMI request. So let's upload one of our training PDFs to accompany our response by selecting Browse. We're going to put in one of our training PDFs. It'll take a few moments, and now it's uploaded. And we're going to click Save Document to make sure we save our information. Again, this document save in progress screen may be something that comes up. If you click that refresh button, it will expedite your process. Our document is now uploaded and saved. You'll see that there's a blue Remove button to the right of the Test Document 1 PDF that's listed here. Also, the Save Documents button on the right-hand side is no longer accessible, and that is because our information has been saved. We are now finished completing the SMI request for CMS. So let's send our responses by selecting Send Response to CMS. Now let's review how to update the report in case changes are necessary based off the SMI response. Go to the Actions tab. We will need to uncertify the report to have the ability to edit the core measure information. As a point of clarification, you will not need to uncertify all reports that are put into the Seek More Information status, only those that require changes to be made. There may be some SMI requests that only require further explanation, not changes. However, other SMI requests may point out discrepancies in the report that need to be corrected. To begin this process of uncertifying, select Uncertify Annual Report. Then enter the package ID information. In this case, we're going to enter Virginia 2015 AQM_989. And then we're going to select Search for Report. And if you don't remember what your package ID is, you can easily find that information by going to the Records tab. Confirm that this is the report that you would like to uncertify. We're double checking our information here and we're confirming, yes, this is the report I was looking for. And then we're going to select Uncertify at the bottom of the page. Now, there will be a task in our tasks list to review and edit the report that was just uncertified, and state users in Virginia will receive a notification that the report has been uncertified. Go to the Tasks option on the upper toolbar to begin the editing process. Before we select our tasks, let's take a look at the green arrow above the link to the task. So there's an arrow right above the task. Notice that the arrow is currently pointing towards Max State POC VA. If a task is not yet claimed, the green arrow will point towards who received the task. If we had claimed the task, the arrow above the task would be pointing towards me. So let's select the task to review and edit the report we just uncertified. Like we have done with all other tasks, we first need to accept the task at the top of the page. Then we have the option to update the report and submit to the state director. We could also return the report to the state editor for them to work on the changes. For this demonstration, we will make the appropriate edits and submit to the state director. So we're going to edit the first core measure, the ABA measure, which is the one we've been focusing on the most today. And we checked off the ABA core measure. We're going to scroll to the bottom of the page and select Go to Selected Measure. Then we're going to expand the status of the data reported section. And we're going to update our selection from provisional to final. We will scroll to the bottom of the page, select Yes for validation, because as we remember, we need to make sure validation is on for this measure to be marked as complete. We'll select Save. Again, this takes us to the top of our page. We're going to go back to the bottom and click Go to Admin Screen. At this point, we have updated this measure appropriately, and we are ready to resubmit to the state director for the state director to recertify and resubmit to CMS. To do this, select Send for Certification at the bottom of the page. The state director process will be the exact same that we reviewed earlier in this training. In order to be efficient with our time, we will not re-review this process, but just as a reminder, after the state point of contact updates the report after uncertifying, the state director will need to go in to review the changes the state point of contact made. They will have to then recertify and resubmit to CMS. This is the end of our in-system demonstration portion of today's training. We're going to return to the PowerPoint to review the help desk information, and then there will be an opportunity to ask any final questions. So help desk and technical assistance is available to all MacPro users. We expect users to have questions as the MacPro system starts being used, especially with issues along the lines of login information, passwords, accessing MacPro, and viewing quality measure reports. Although there will be trainings and reference materials available to walk through the quality measure reporting, submission, and review processes, there are also two ways to get technical assistance. To obtain assistance on using the MacPro system itself, contact the MacPro Help Desk by emailing macpro_helpdesk@cms.hhs.gov or by calling 301-547-4688. This help desk is for issues related to MacPro access and how to use the MacPro system. The Request Technical Assistance link inside the MacPro system will allow you to submit a TA request to the CMS Medicaid and CHIP Quality Measures, Technical Assistance, and Analytics Support Program mailbox. This link should be used for questions related to report content, such as how to develop state rates based on data from multiple data sources, or questions about the measure technical specifications. If you have report content questions outside of MacPro, you can contact this team at macqualityta@cms.hhs.gov. We have all this contact information on the slides right now, and this contact information was also featured at the end of the Mathematica portion of today's presentation. To help expedite an answer to your request, here's the information that should be provided in an email request to the MacPro Help Desk. Again, this is related to system questions and user access. We ask that you provide your contact information, the authority you are using, for example, adult quality measures or maternal and infant health quality measures. Give a detailed description of your problem or question, including how many people are being affected by it, if that applies. Specify the last screen or activity that was performed before experiencing your issue, if that's applicable again. And include the error message that appeared, and preferably a screenshot if that is relevant to your issue. Now let's discuss next steps. If you requested a MacPro role last month, keep an eye out for an email containing your user ID information. If you need an ID, please contact your program's primary quality measures contact for assistance. Please note that if you have not requested a role at this point, we cannot guarantee you'll be able to get one by the MacPro launch date. But do please send in your request as soon as possible, and we'll try to get that to you as quickly as possible. Also, an announcement will be sent when MacPro goes live. After that's arrived, you'll be able to begin reporting in MacPro. Stay tuned for a future release of training material and other trainings. This is the end of our demonstration today. Dan, can you please open up the lines for any final questions?